Wow, so on to Egypt. Man, this has been a crazy week for Egypt. I don't even know where to begin. Okay, so towards the start of last week, if you remember, the streets were full of clashes, protests, the pro-mercy groups against the anti-mercy groups, and all of this clashing, the violence, it just rose to such disturbing levels that the Egyptian military had to intervene. It had to issue an ultimatum to their president, President Morsi, and say, look, either you solve this political crisis or we're actually going to have to do something about this. And Morsi rejected the ultimatum, and consequently, the military took him out. They removed him from power, and he's being detained. Things went from bad to worse when pro-mercy groups swept the streets. They were protesting against what they felt was the unlawful removal of their democratically elected leader. And so far, there's been clashes between the pro-mercy groups and the anti-mercy groups, and 30 people have been killed, and about 30 people have been killed, sorry, and we're hoping that this number will not rise. I mean, the international community's response to this has been really interesting. For instance, from the Gulf states, from the USA, they sent their congratulations. But other parts of the world, they're not really looking at it in the same light. They're kind of looking down on it. They feel like this is a show of a lack of democracy in Egypt. They feel like what happened with the military was tantamount to a coup. And so it just shows that in this situation, it's basically like a coin. There are two sides to a coin. And in this case, both sides have extremely valid points, and it's just going to be better if you can look at both sides instead of only seeing one. I mean, right now there's so many opinions flying about. I can only speak for my own, and I feel like the events of last week, they could have some heavy impacts on Egypt for a while to come. My first problem with this is, was it even lawful? I mean, this man, he was elected by a majority of people. It was a democratic process. It was a free and fair election. So did the military really have the right to come in and take him out like that? My second problem is, I feel like this kind of reveals just how strong the military in Egypt is. For so long they battled against military rule. For so long they kind of put across the message that we don't want the military to rule the country, such an iron fist. But I feel like just the events of the past week showed how supreme the military's power is, and I don't think that that is one of the aims of the revolution. My third problem is, okay, who's going to come next? I mean, so far we haven't yet appointed an interim prime minister, and they've had trouble doing that. I mean, for instance, right now the person whose name is in the foremost is a man that goes by the name of El Baradei, and he is facing some opposition because one of the driving forces behind the ousting of Mohamed Morsi was a party called Al Noor, and the Al Noor have said they don't want Mr. El Baradei. If Mr. El Baradei is put in power, they're gonna split, they're gonna go, which is bad because this shows that we can't get the conservatives, the Democrats, the liberals to come together and make a decision. And if we're already stumbling at simply choosing an interim president, what's going to happen 6 months down the line? It's not going to be that great. My other problem is just, it's just this could be setting such a dangerous precedent for Egypt. It's just giving the image that if you don't like what's going on, just take to the streets and sweep everything through, and maybe you'll get what you want. I feel like to a certain extent that does undermine democracy. It's not really how things should be done. How do you know maybe 1 year down the line you're not happy with the next guy that comes in? Is the same thing going to happen? And you see, what's really interesting is that so much resentment was built against the Muslim Brotherhood because they did try to force political Islam on people. They did try to make political Islam a key force in Egyptian politics and Egyptian government, and that should not be the case. He did try to keep his cabinet full of people from the Muslim Brotherhood, and that's wrong. But the situation is, when the next leader comes in and sees how easy it is for people to just storm the stream and take his power for him, do you not think that he's going to do the same thing? Do you not think that any leader is going to think, I'm just going to try and grab as much power for myself before anything can happen to me? I mean, that could very well happen. And I feel like the worst part, the worst effect of what happened last week is the effect it's going to have on the economy. Right now, the Egyptian economy is hanging by a thread. They're pretty much existing on loans from Gulf states. They have no foreign reserves. Unemployment for people under the age of 24 is at 40%. Things are not in a good state. But my question is, how is this going to affect the economy? Can the economy actually withstand taking such a hit? First you have to think about the elections coming up. In fact, money will have to be spent on these elections. And there's the simple point that now that we're forming a new government, now that we're forming a new cabinet, the economy cannot be a priority. It's going to have to take a back seat. But what will be the effects of the economy taking a back seat? What happens? What state will the economy be in by the time it's made a priority again? It could be completely shot. I mean, I know it sounds like I'm completely against what happened. I'm not. I was never a fan of the Muslim Brotherhood, to be honest. I was quite shocked when they came into power. I really did not think that was who the people would choose for themselves. And most importantly, I feel like the will of the people, it should be first and foremost. And from what we can see, definitely the majority of Egyptians did want Morsi to go. But it's just how they went about doing it. That's what the problem with me is. I'm just scared what implications this will have on their future. And that's my main qualm with this. Anyway, for now, I don't know if anyone can predict what would be coming in the next week or so, but we just have to hope that people make good decisions for themselves. I hope we can trust the military to oversee getting together an interim government, and I hope that things will get better, although I believe it will take some time for that to happen. Okay, thank you for listening. Bye.